Story 1. Ouija board. I used to be a police officer in a city in Virginia. This is Thomas's true horror story related to a Ouija board. There was this one upscale neighborhood, quiet streets, beautiful homes, everything picture perfect. But every rookie cop, including me, eventually heard the same story about one particular house. Years ago, a doctor had lived there. One night, he apparently tried to perform surgery on himself. He numbed his stomach and made an incision, but because he couldn't feel pain, he cut too deep and disemboweled himself. When first responders arrived, they found him barely alive, holding his own intestines. He died before help could reach him. Creepy story, right? I always thought it was just a legend. Until years later, I was sent to that same neighborhood. The call came in about a young woman found dead by her sister. As soon as I pulled up to the house, I got this wave of unease. It looked nice from the outside, but the air felt heavy, like the place was soaked in bad energy. On the front porch were piles of empty energy drink cans and a Ouija board sitting right there on the table. I remember thinking, what kind of energy is this girl messing with? Inside, the family was distraught. The sister told me the body was in the basement. Another officer stayed with them while I went downstairs. The basement was unfinished and dim, with 2 pull-string bulbs barely lighting the space. Empty cans everywhere. And another Ouija board. This one open on a small coffee table. That's where I found her. The girl, her name was Emily, just 19 years old. She had hung herself with an exercise band from one of the rafters. She was still slightly swinging when I walked in. We brought her down, and as tragic as it was, something about that basement felt worse than just sadness. The air was thick, wrong. Later, I spoke with her family. They said Emily had become obsessed with the Ouija board. She'd stay up all night, living on energy drinks, claiming she was talking to her boyfriend, who was dead. Her sister told me Emily said he begged her to join him, and she believed him. That's when I started to think maybe she didn't die alone. 2 weeks passed. I was still shaken by that call when another one came in a major car crash with ejection. I rushed to the scene. It was a convertible BMW that had rolled several times. The crash was horrific. The driver was dead, and another body had been thrown from the car. It was one of the worst accidents I'd ever seen. When we got their IDs, my stomach dropped. The victims were Emily's parents, exactly 2 weeks to the day after her death. Breaking that news to the surviving sister was one of the hardest things I ever had to do. She was devastated, of course. Eventually, she sold the family home, moved away, and tried to start over. I stayed in touch for a while just to make sure she was okay. Then about a month later, another call came in. A jogger had been struck by a car. When officers arrived, it was Emily's sister. She survived for a few weeks in a coma, but eventually passed away too. That's when it all came together. Every person tied to that house, the doctor, Emily, her parents, and her sister, all gone. Same house, same curse. Or maybe something far darker that Emily had invited in when she played with that Ouija board. That was years ago. I'm no longer a police officer. I moved a couple of states away. But twice now, when I've gone to check my mail, I found something strange on the sidewalk. Spooky-looking Ouija board. I never touch them. I just use a stick to push them into the storm drain. Because deep down, I know whatever I saw in that house never really stayed there. Before we continue to our next story, please like, comment, and subscribe for more real-life horror stories. Story 2. I quit the police after this paranormal encounter. I used to be a police officer, and I was proud of that. 20 years on the force. I've seen break-ins, accidents, domestic calls, but nothing ever prepared me for the night that made me hand in my badge. This is Sean's true spooky story. I'm not a superstitious guy. I don't believe in ghosts or demons. But there are some things in life you can't explain, no matter how rational you try to be. This is one of those nights. We got a call from dispatch, a noise complaint just after midnight. Quiet suburban area. Everyone asleep. My partner Paul and I pulled up in front of a small 2-story house. No lights on, no sound, just a porch light flickering in the cold air. I knocked on the door and announced, "Police, anyone home?" After a pause, the door creaked open just an inch. A little girl, maybe 8 or 9, peeked through the gap. She had pale skin, long dark hair, and big eyes that looked tired. "Hey there," I said, crouching down to her level. "Is your mom or dad home?" She shook her head slowly. Before I could ask another question, I heard the clatter of silverware crashing inside the house. The sound came from what had to be the kitchen. I looked back at the girl. She didn't flinch. That's when instinct kicked in. I told her to wait outside with Paul while I checked it out. The house was almost completely dark. The only light came from the street lamp, bleeding through the open door. "Police!" I called out. "If anyone's here, make yourself known." Nothing. Just silence. I waited, then turned to head back out. That's when the TV in the living room came on full volume, pure static. Paul and I exchanged a look. We decided to put the girl in the patrol car for safety. When we went back inside, none of the light switches worked. The air felt colder than before. As I walked through the hallway, something caught my eye, a reflection in one of the mirrors. For a split second, I thought it was Paul standing behind me. But when I turned, no one was there. A moment later, footsteps echoed down the hallway, running fast. We both drew our weapons and aimed toward the sound. The footsteps got louder, closer, but there was no one to see. Then suddenly, lamps fell, chairs toppled, drawers flew open as if pulled by invisible hands. We bolted out of that house and into the yard, our hearts pounding. The sound stopped. Then, from the patrol car, the siren blared on its own. I sprinted to the car, silenced the alarm, and checked on the girl. She sat calmly in the back seat, eyes straight ahead. "Are you okay?" I asked. She nodded, but didn't say a word. Paul walked up beside me, pale and shaking. "Mike," he said quietly, "did you notice the family photos in that house? What about them? She's not in any of them." We stood there, staring at the dark windows. The air was still, but my stomach dropped. "The footsteps led outside," Paul said. Then the siren went off like something got into the car. "Paul, are you saying—" "I'm saying whatever's haunting that house isn't done with her." "Oh?" I wanted to tell him to stop talking, but I couldn't because deep down, I believed him. Paul started walking back toward the house. "What are you doing?" I asked. "It only shows up in mirrors," he said. "That's how we find it." Before I could stop him, he smashed one of the hallway mirrors with a book. The sound echoed through the empty house. "Are you out of your mind?" I shouted. He handed me a shard of glass. "You ever arrest a ghost before?" We waited, flashlights trembling, and then something appeared in the reflection. A tall skeletal figure with red eyes and long clawed hands. It lunged toward me. I felt a burning pain rip through my back, as if something had torn my uniform open. I fell forward, dropping the shard. Paul fired twice, and the thing screamed, fading into the darkness. When I looked up, it was gone. But so was Maribel. Back at the station, we tried to explain everything. No one believed us. The body cameras had shut off the moment we entered the house. Every recording from that night gone. But our captain showed us a missing person report. A little girl named Maribel, reported dead 10 years ago in that very same house. That was the night I quit the force. Because when something like that looks you in the eye, you realize that some calls are beyond human jurisdiction. Story 3. Satanic Rituals. I'm a police detective. I've seen a lot in my career. Shootings, drug busts, robberies, but nothing like what I'm about to tell you. This is Jason's true story. It started with a robbery at a small gas station in California. The owner said a man in a plain white mask came in, pointed a gun, took the money, and left quietly. He didn't run. He didn't even seem scared. He just whispered something under his breath and walked out before the police arrived. We traced his car through traffic cameras until it suddenly vanished near a public park. When we found the car, there were no fingerprints, not even his. The vehicle turned out to be stolen from a young woman who'd been attacked earlier that night. Days passed, and the case went cold. But one night, everything changed. It was around 11 p.m. I was off duty, walking home, when I noticed someone sprinting into a dark alley. Behind him was a woman, wearing that same white, featureless mask. I followed quietly, flashlight in hand, and when I turned the light on, my heart stopped. 2 men were holding a man down. 3 women stood around them, all in the same white masks. One of them, the leader, held a blood-soaked cleaver. Without saying a word, she began cutting into the man's chest while the others stood still, watching like it was normal. When she was done, she placed her bloody hands together and whispered a prayer, or maybe a chant. Then they all turned, and stared right at me. I reached for my gun. Something heavy flew toward me, a piece of concrete. I dodged it and fired 2 rounds. Both hit one in the stomach, one in the leg. The rest started running toward me, fast. I grabbed my radio, called for backup, and sprinted out of there. The streets were empty. I couldn't see anyone behind me. I ducked into a construction site and locked myself inside a porta potty. My hands were shaking. Then I heard it. Bang. Then another. They were outside, banging, laughing, whispering, and through the thin plastic walls, I heard a woman's voice, the same one with the cleaver. Heh. Look what you've gotten yourself into. The sound stopped when sirens approached. When backup arrived, I stepped out, shaking, but the alley was clean. No blood, no body, no masks. The only thing I had was a single photo I'd managed to take before I ran. It showed the group in white masks, standing in a circle around the victim. I tried to report it, but no one believed me. They said there was no evidence. That I must have imagined it. But a week later, I heard about an old church that burned down on the edge of town. In the basement, investigators found symbols painted in blood, the same ones from my photo. And on the wall, 3 words were carved deep into the stone. We are chosen. Have you ever witnessed people performing satanic rituals? I can't help but feel that both of these incidents are somehow connected to something beyond our understanding. Maybe even a secret cult. Comment your thoughts below.